Right now, SDG&E rates keep going up, but do you even understand the bill that shows up every month? What's on that? We're going to show you what it all means. Cage-free, whole grains, do those labels really mean what you think? We are clearing up the confusion. And we go behind the scenes to see how San Diego responds to reports on the Get It Done app. Hello, thank you so much for joining us here on CBS 8. I'm Netta Iranpour, and here at CBS 8, we are working for you. We're listening to your concerns, investigating your questions, and finding solutions that matter in our community. So we're going to start with what a lot of you have to deal with, that SDG&E bill. If you think your monthly bill is confusing, I mean, look at all these lines. Maybe it feels overwhelming or just plain hard to follow. You are not alone. A property owner reached out to us after struggling to understand her own bill and what her tenants are being charged. She was looking out for them. CBS 8's Brian White is working for you on this, breaking down what those line items actually mean.
Yeah, this paper bill is anything but simple, and it actually raises more questions than answers. So we're going to break down what's on your electric bill and how you can better understand it.
These are the individual meters for individual apartments.
This all started with confusion. Ann Fotheringham owns a small 10-unit apartment building in Point Loma. When she started comparing electric bills, hers and her tenants', the numbers did not make sense.
I feel blindsided. Absolutely blindsided.
One bill caught her attention right away, a vacant non-rental unit that uses almost no electricity. Early last year, that unit used just 48 cents worth of power and had a $4 delivery charge. Months later, still vacant, the delivery charge jumped to more than $30.
That is an extreme jump. That's not a small increase.
To understand that jump, we have to understand how our electric bill is built. First, delivery. That's SDG&E. Think poles, wires, meters, and maintenance. The cost to get electricity to your home. Second, generation. That's the electricity itself. And for most San Diegans, it comes from a community choice program like San Diego Community Power. Unless you opted out, in which case it comes from SDG&E. Either way, it's listed on your bill. Third, taxes and fees, including state programs and city franchise fees.
The delivery bill can look tricky. I get the frustration that you kind of gloss over when you're trying to understand the math.
Anthony Wagner with SDG&E says delivery fees were restructured in October to include a fixed charge of about $24 a month, and that's probably why Ann saw the jump. And part of it also depends on how much and when you use electricity.
Everyone is billed according to their usage, and the delivery charge is billed according to usage.
Most customers are on time of use plans, meaning electricity costs more during high demand hours, usually between 4 and 9 p.m. According to Jen LeBron with San Diego Community Power, starting March 1st, super off-peak hours will also include 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. every day year-round.
That's when the sun is shining brightest, which means that we have the most energy on the grid, and you're going to get the lowest price possible.
Another bill increase tied to wildfire mitigation costs is expected to hit in April. It'll ramp up over a few billing cycles to about $5 a month and will last for about 3 years. If you're struggling to understand your bill like I am, head to CBS8.com and you'll find resources to help review your usage and understand your bill. I'm Brian White, CBS 8.
A class action lawsuit against Costco over its rotisserie chicken labels now has shoppers asking, can we trust what we read at the grocery store on these labels? Well, CBS 8's Abby Black working for you on this one, sharing how to better understand our food labels.
The rotisserie chicken controversy got us thinking about food labels and what do they mean? You read the buzzwords, light cream cheese, cage-free, whole grains, but does it mean what you think? We're working for you to cut through all the confusion.
I hit the grocery aisles where buzzwords are everywhere. 100% juice, zero sugar, cage-free, but I found that they don't always mean what you think.
I just noticed that I can't pronounce anything that's in the actual ingredients in our food anymore.
Brett Ward is a type 2 diabetic, so labels matter.
I try to be conscious of what's healthy to eat.
I took his and other consumer concerns to Aaron Gross. He's the director of USD's Center for Food Systems Transformation. He's part of a class action lawsuit against Whole Foods for false antibiotic claims, so he's vocal about USDA testing gaps.
So what we really have is a labeling crisis. You can't actually assume that label means what it means.
Costco's famous rotisserie chickens were labeled preservative-free, but a lawsuit claims they contain preservatives, and Costco removed the labeling.
So if you see something like no antibiotics ever, the USDA had to approve that. The problem is the USDA is also charged with promoting big business.
I discovered the trade-offs. Sugar-free often means synthetic sweeteners. Fat-free means higher sugar. And all natural? I asked Gross what it actually means.
All natural, for example, is regulated, but if I tried to walk you through the cockamamie things that it actually means, you'd quickly realize it has nothing to do with your vision of all natural.
I dug into cage-free eggs. Sounds healthy, right?
And this is one of the areas where we have the most deception. So cage-free means exactly what it means. The animal isn't in a cage, but it could be kept in a horrible barn with no sunlight.
The Consumer Brands Association, which represents food manufacturers, says the industry follows all federal labeling requirements.
How do we know what the difference is between regulated labels and marketing?
You don't until you look it up.
Gross pointed us to Consumer Reports, where you can see what the labels mean when buying certain products, such as eggs.
Take advantage of the miracle of our cell phone. Google that. Look at Consumer Reports.
Lawmakers are acting too. In California, starting this July, sell-by dates will also be banned. And this spring, the FDA is working on front-of-pack labeling rules.
Everything's important when it comes to what you put in your body.
Bottom line, flip the package over and read the ingredients yourself. Working for you, Abby Black, CBS 8.
Useful information we can all use next time we go shopping, right? And now, from potholes to graffiti to broken sidewalks, San Diegans have had a direct line to City Hall for nearly a decade. We're talking about the city's Get It Done app. Have you used this one? It's approaching its 10-year anniversary, and CBS 8's Brian White, working for you, giving us this closer look behind the scenes as city staff try to sort through and resolve some incoming reports.
And then listening.
Every phone call, every click, every report, they add up fast. The City of San Diego's Get It Done app is approaching its 10-year anniversary. And since launching in 2016, people in San Diego have submitted more than 3.5 million reports.
With Get It Done, we receive over 1,000 reports a day on a regular basis.
Everything from parking violations to potholes to illegal dumping, and last year alone, more than 380,000 requests.
My job is to make sure everything's humming, things are getting to the right place, nothing is getting stuck.
Marcus Lestraco helps manage the digital backbone, routing reports to 12 city departments, making sure each one lands in the right queue.
It's very simple. So to submit a new report, you just tap here, submit a new report, you type your description, and then this is where you would take a photo.
That simplicity on the front end feeds a massive operation on the back end, including the Environmental Services Department.
This is where any calls, emails, or Get It Done reports that come through our department will come through here.
Inside the call center, staff triage thousands of requests, sorting out missing details, correcting addresses, and assigning cases.
So right now I'm going to label it as an encampment.
Every report matters, but details help move things faster.
When we have bad addresses, no photos, very minimal descriptions, it doesn't give our teams very much opportunity to go out there and try to address as quick as possible.
From the call center to the field.
We got a report of waste on private property of an illegal encampment.
Code Compliance Officer James Ramsey goes out to determine what the issue actually is and who's responsible.
They thought it was an encampment. It has traits of an encampment. However, this has been vacant for quite some time.
In this case, not an encampment, but illegal dumping on private property.
At this point, we will issue a notice of violation to the commercial building.
The goal is to clear the issue and close the case.
Get It Done is trying to always make it better so people don't feel like it goes into that black hole and never gets done.
The app continues to evolve, but city staff remind us clear photos, accurate locations, and contact info can make all the difference. Brian White, CBS 8.
Good to know how it works behind the scenes. And now a train ride along our coast. It's beautiful, fast, and convenient. However, sometimes service gets suspended. Coming up, the work being done right now and why there's a rush to get it finished. Plus, cracking down on e-bikes in a North County city. The warning period is over and some riders are now having to pay up. Welcome back here. If you ride the coaster or Amtrak, you may want to listen. More weekend closures are on the horizon. CBS 8's Vanessa Paz working for you and shows us why these shutdowns are needed.
If your weekend plans include riding the rails, you may need a backup plan. North County Transit hitting the pause button once again on coastal rail service.
NCTD periodically does weekend closures to provide construction crews the opportunity to work safely on and along the rail line.
Crews are doing routine maintenance and making moves on big infrastructure projects, including the Delmar Bluff stabilization and double tracking at the Bataquitos Lagoon. And this isn't the kind of work that could just happen overnight.
We can do some of the work while trains are running. We would just close one track instead of both of the tracks in some areas. But really, in order for us to get as much work done as possible, we like to close the tracks to make sure that we can knock it out as quick as possible.
The shutdowns impact both coaster and Amtrak riders from San Diego to Oceanside, with trains up and running the following Mondays. But what if you still need to get around?
NCTD operates the 101 bus route that goes to most of the coaster stations down to Solana Beach. And then further south, you can connect with the 101 bus to the MTS Blue Line trolley.
The good news, all of this work meant to pay off big in the long run.
The more double track we have on the corridor, the less likely those cascading delays are to happen.
One important reminder, even when passenger trains aren't running, construction vehicles still are.
Only cross the tracks at lawfully designated crossings and make sure that you look both ways and adhere to the signals before crossing the railroad tracks.
North County Transit said doing this work in the winter helps keep the busy season running smooth. Good news for those with future plans to Petco Park.
Padres season is unimpeded, so you won't see any closures between, we maybe have one on a weekend in April where there's no Padres games, but typically you won't see between May and October, you won't see one of these closures.
And now work has already shut down service for 2 weekends last month. The next weekend closure is slated for February 20th, and then 2 more coming up in March. For all the closure updates and alternate routes, be sure you go to our website, cbs8.com. You can click on the link to this story. New e-bike rules are being enforced in San Marcos. E-bike riders under the age of 12 and their parents can now be fined after the 3-month grace period for the law ended on February 1st. E-bike riders as well as bicyclists also have to follow the same rules of the road as cars, including stopping at red lights and staying off of sidewalks. The San Marcos City Council approved the law back in October with a 3-month educational period before full enforcement then began. City leaders say the change is about safety after crashes involving young riders. And there's a lot more to talk about here right now, especially when it comes to our mileage tax for California drivers. Coming up, we're going to clear the confusion over what's happening at the state capitol. Welcome back. Are California laws working as intended? The state assembly launching a new push for oversight and accountability. Speaker Robert Rivas says 14 lawmakers have volunteered to review their own bills to see if they're delivering results. Rivas says if a law falls short, it could be changed, defunded, or scrapped. Right now, Bay Area Democrat Liz Ortega is reviewing her wage theft legislation.
A lot of different laws here, and so now it's an opportunity for us to see what's working, and if they're not working, how do we fix them? And we have a department that's supposed to be responsible for collecting that money that's being stolen from workers, and currently it's not working. A lot of the wages are being left on the table.
As for the timeline, each bill that was picked will be heard in relevant committees, as well as community meetings with Q&A sessions involving relevant state agencies. At the end of the year, legislators will present their findings and propose fixes to make the laws work better. Right now, a bill sparking debate over a possible mileage tax is moving through the state capitol. Lawmakers passed a study, not a tax, to examine how a mileage tax could work. CBS 8's political reporter Jenny Hutt taking a closer look at what drivers need to know.
The bill does not propose a new tax on Californians. It actually continues a conversation started over a decade ago about eventually replacing the state gas tax with a vehicle miles travel tax as Californians increasingly turn away from gas power to clean energy vehicles. And so your belief seems to be that all road users should pay their fair share, right? Yes. Democratic Assemblymember Lori Wilson, author of AB 1421, the so-called mileage tax bill in the hot seat, says that is the reason for her legislation.
And when it comes to our declining gas tax revenue and our transportation infrastructure, we're not quite there yet. And so we need to get quite there.
Declining gas tax revenue, with California working to achieve carbon neutrality by 2045, in part by increasing zero-emissions vehicles. The gas tax is set at just 61 cents per gallon, the highest rate nationwide.
How do we then do a transition? Like, what does that look like? How do we build the infrastructure?
That conversation ongoing since the 2010s with the establishment of a road usage charge technical advisory committee tasked with seeing if that tax replacement would be doable.
A vehicle would pay based upon the amount of mileage it travels, sort of like when we do toll roads.
AB 1421 requests an extension of that committee until 2035 and for a study to be completed for the legislature by January 2027 to
determine whether or not first it would work to replace the gas tax eventually, and secondly, how it would actually be implemented. For example, privacy concerns, having your vehicle actually tracked mile for mile.
That's where Republicans say they're concerned.
A proposal becomes a study, that becomes a temporary fee, that becomes a permanent tax. It is a tale as old as time in this building.
There's even effort by Republican Assemblymember Greg Wallace to put the guarantee of a no double tax in writing. Insurance the mileage tax replaces the current gas tax and won't cost Californians more. Bill co-author and Assembly Majority Leader Cecilia Aguiar-Curry had a three-word response.
Read the bill.
As for Governor Newsom, his press office responding to Republican Congressman Kevin Kiley on X in part, quote, "Bro, you used to be in the legislature and you don't know how a bill becomes a law? There is no new mileage tax here." Whether you call it a mileage tax, VMT, or road usage tax, at the end of the day, the goal?
Generate a similar amount of money for the upkeep of our streets and highways in the state of California.
And Republicans also argue California already has sufficient road investment through SB1, the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017, which invests over $5 billion annually into state and local infrastructure. Jenny Ha, CBS 8.
All right, coming up here, more affordable way to do your grocery shopping, the new market, and how customers can take advantage of some discounts. Welcome back here. A long-awaited project in Imperial Beach, finally a reality. This new community-owned grocery store is now open, and shoppers are pouring in. CBS 8's Alex Lai got a look inside and shows us how this all finally came together.
You may know Suncoast for its farmers market here in Imperial Beach, but after a decade in the making, the co-op finally opened its grocery store. Today, I got a first-hand look at the market here on Palm Avenue.
The store just opened this weekend, and it's already packed with customers. Inside, you can find bulk produce, locally sourced goods like flowers, bread, and skincare, plus a salad and hot food bar.
How does it feel to finally be open?
It's the best feeling.
Shannon Ratliff, vice president of the board, says this all started a decade ago when a group of Imperial Beach neighbors teamed up to create the grocery store they'd been missing.
In lower middle income communities, grocery stores are really hard to find. They tend to close, not open.
After years of planning and fundraising for the $4 million project, plus running a farmer's market, the store is finally open.
So what we're really trying to do is sort of fill that gap to provide access to really fresh produce, locally sourced items, locally produced items on our shelves from people that live right here in the community even.
The market is a co-op, meaning it's owned by community members who buy shares. Shannon says more than 1,500 people have purchased a $200 one-time share.
So that makes them a literal owner in the store. So there's not a distant boardroom making decisions. There's not a corporation.
The store is open to all, but shareholders get owner-only discounts and dividends in the years the co-op makes a profit. After grocery shopping with his son, Rocco Sproul bought a share at checkout.
You know, to be part owner in something that's a great asset to the community is something I wanted to be a part of.
He lives down the street and says having a store nearby makes a big difference.
Accessibility is awesome, so we don't have to drive too far.
And for longtime residents, this is a long-awaited addition.
I'm thrilled for it because we needed something down at this side of the town. We've needed that for a long time.
Yes, freshly made. Suncoast Market is open daily from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. at 600 Palm Avenue. In Imperial Beach, Alex Lai, CBS 8.
Definitely a spot you got to go check out now in IB. And that is going to do it for us. Remember, if there's something you want us to look into, here's the email to reach us, workingforyou@cbs8.com. Have a wonderful day and so glad you're joining us on CBS 8. I'm Netta Iranpour.